Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first ever episode of the DashCast. Our guest today is Juniper. Say hello.
That's me.
Yeah,
Hi.
that's you.
Yeah.
So I figured we could just make this cast. Yeah, that made sense. Jesus Christ, I think it's so bad. Okay.
Nothing makes sense.
Yeah, nothing
Ever.
makes sense. Yeah.
There is
Um,
no sense.
Essentially, this podcast is a way for a lot of people to learn about people in the community, whether it be you know, community figureheads or even some. I'm thinking of doing some smaller people in the future. But today we have Juniper, so I guess we'll just go into the first question, which I feel like a lot of people are curious about, which is there any story behind why your name is Juniper? Is there a reason for it, or is it just like oh, you see, my real life name's Juniper, so it's Juniper?
I mean, it's pretty simple. Basically, I didn't like my old GD name, and when I was in like seventh grade, I wanted to start a GD YouTube channel. It never ended up happening. But well, I guess it did end up happening, just very delayed. So I was doing some summer reading and I wanted a new name for my channel, and I found the word Juniper in there. It was a book, I can't remember what it was called, but a character in it had like a pretend like imaginary planet named Juniper. And so I was like, oh, that's a name I'm gonna use now. So I swapped my name and then I just stopped playing JD, kept it as my name even though I never played the game. So then when I came back about 2 years later, I had that name to start my channel with.
Hmm.
That's also why, like, if you look on my channel, it says that it was created in like 2015 or 2016 or something, was because I made it, but then I never really used it until, the future.
Yeah, I know for me, when I created my channel, like the day I created my channel, bang, I uploaded my first video because I made my channel
Yeah.
specifically to upload. You did mention an old name. I'm curious what that old name was, if you remember.
I shouldn't say it.
Okay, okay, that's fine.
It's
Um,
not like inappropriate, it's just personal.
okay, that makes sense. I'm pretty sure I could guess who it is, but it's probably like a real name or something. Which
Mm-hmm.
I know my Roblox name. For whatever reason, I said it, so it's my last name is in my Roblox username for whatever reason.
It happens.
Yeah. Um, Prior to you wanting to be a YouTuber, was there anything else you wanted to do? Like, did you want to become like an athlete or work in like the gaming industry or something?
Since I became a YouTuber around 8th grade, I hadn't really put a whole lot of thought into it. When I was really young, I did a lot of performing arts and singing and acting and that sort of thing. So I always, like most children, it was kind of like you didn't really have any ideas of like more dedicated jobs. So when I was really young, I was like, I just want to be an actress. I want to be a singer. Um, then when I started to get older into like middle school, I decided that I wanted to be an epidemiologist or a microbiologist, basically studying diseases, outbreaks, viruses, bacteria, and that is still what I want to do. That's what I'm going to go into college to study. But YouTube, I mean, it's not like I want to be a YouTuber as my full-time job in the future because that's just impossible. And YouTube is really unpredictable as it's not a very stable source of income because of how many factors there are that go into what you're paid at the end of every month. So, microbiology, epidemiology is sort of what I'm looking at.
Hmm. Yeah, that's fair. I remember back when I was younger, I for some reason was like, I want to be an athlete. I want to play football. I want to play basketball. But then I
Yeah.
never did anything to do it. It's like I didn't work out or like go to the gym or like play them. Real. I played them somewhat, but it was very casual with my brother. It wasn't anything like, oh yeah, I'm gonna work for this.
Yeah, I've never been that athletic. I mean, I played soccer a little bit, but I was never very good at it.
I mean, who hasn't played soccer? It's soccer.
Yeah, I think everyone has.
Yeah. Um, this actually kind of ties into that previous question. Prior to this discovering GD, how was there any other games you enjoyed playing?
Minecraft, definitely. I would say like my kind of like I've spent a lot of my life on the internet, obviously. Um, I started when I was really young, like maybe 5 or 6, playing Club Penguin. That was my game. I loved Club Penguin. Every day I got home from school, I would be like so hyped to hop on Club Penguin. Like that was the thing that I did all the time. And eventually when I grew out of that, I started playing a little Minecraft. Um, I would go on servers, like, at the time, Mineplex was a big one, and there were other, like, smaller servers that I kind of joined the communities of and would play on and made friends there, like, on forums and stuff. So, there was that, and then, yeah, it was mostly just those 2, and then I kinda grew into Geometry Dash, joined that community, Well, there was like a period of time where I focused a lot more on school than anything else, and then when like middle of 8th grade, I kind of started to join the Geometry Dash community and stuff.
Yeah, I know for me personally back then, I never played Club Penguin. For me personally, it was more Roblox. I didn't have Minecraft for the longest time. And I remember like I really
Yeah.
wanted it. Um, and then my parents finally got it for me for the Xbox. And then I finally got it for Java like a year later or something. But I do remember I sort of like what you said with Club Penguin. Every day when I'd get home from school, I'd go on my computer and be like, oh yeah, time to play Roblox.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like a lot of, like, people who play video games kind of had that, happen at, like, at least some point in their life where, it's just kinda like, you find that game where you
You
just
just
look
play it
forward to playing
constantly.
every single day, yeah.
Yeah. I know some people still do that. There's a lot of games that people nowadays like, yeah, I play it every day, 24/7. Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Um how exactly did you discover Geometry? I'm curious about this. It's something I always like asking people when I'm talking to them.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly because it was so long ago, but I've always said, and I'm gonna stick with it because I'm pretty sure it's what happened, is that I saw someone playing it on the bus on the way to school. And I was like curious, and I was like, oh, and this was in 6th grade, so this was like what, 6 or 7 years ago. And I can't remember how exactly, but I figured out it was Geometry Dash, downloaded it, started playing it, and I've always been someone who really loves music-based games. They've always really clicked with me. I'm a very I wouldn't say I'm a musical person because I don't play music nor do I make music, but I love music, and I think, like, the thing that appealed to me the most was the fact that it was music combined with my own inputs, like rhythm games and that sort of stuff I had never really known much about, so that was kinda like my first introduction into games that were, it's not GD isn't necessarily a rhythm game, but it was kind of my first introduction into games that, have music as a huge component of them, and I really liked it.
Yeah. I know for me, I feel like a lot of people are the same way where they find it out through school. Like for
Yeah.
me, one of my classmates would bring home they would bring their tablet to school every day. And they had a bunch of games that they like a game called like Drive Ahead, Bowmasters, and they also had Geometry Dash on there. So every once in a while they'd play that, I'd watch them, and I'd be like, ooh, this looks cool. And fun enough,
Mhm.
same like Minecraft. I freaking asked my parents, like, okay, yeah, can you give me Geometry Dash? And then they just never really got me it, so I ended up pirating it on my tablet. Because I just was like, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm tired of waiting. I'm playing Geometry Dash as my ignorant 9-year-old. I wasn't 9, I was like 12 or something. I don't know. That tablet's long gone, but that was essentially how I started. As for the
Yeah.
music, I did actually take chorus in 8th grade, which was fun, but that's pretty much the most I've gone for music.
Yeah, I did chorus in, 6th grade as well, and then
Um,
I switched schools, and they did not offer chorus there.
Dang. I never swapped schools. I literally stayed in the same school the entire. I didn't even like swap middle schools because in like or from elementary school to middle school because in like my 4th grade year they're like, oh yeah, you see that middle school that's right next to us? Yeah, we're combining with them, so now we're
Oh,
one school.
yeah.
Yeah, so that was funny. Um, Now okay, I'm gonna start moving on to more channel based questions. Was there anything in particular that led you to create your channel? Like, was there a YouTuber that you watched that inspired you to make your channel, or was there something else that led to it?
I think it was just kind of like I've loved video creation for a very long time. I'd say starting in like 5th or 6th grade. For kind of the same reason I love Geometry Dash was because of music. I for some reason sometimes when I would play a game and there would be a really powerful like soundtrack piece or piece of music in there that really resonated with me, on, like, long drives or whatever, I would put that music in and I would listen to it and I would close my eyes and I would kinda, like, formulate, like, a music video idea in my head that would go along with it. And they were always really, really over the top and, like, impossible for me to make, even now after having taken 4 years of film classes and things. They're just, like, super graphics heavy and stuff, and I still know a lot of them because they just, for some reason, are very vivid in my mind. So I started getting into video production and stuff, and I actually ended up making one of those and won a video competition with it. But, it was kinda like that, and then when I started getting back into GD after I think it was 2.1 came out, I was just like, "Dude, I like making videos, and I've been watching some GD YouTubers, so why don't I just make some GD videos of my own, take a shot at it?" The biggest one I think was Colin, which is funny because we became friends pretty quickly, and we still are friends even though people think that we aren't. But, it's just kind of like a mixture of loving video editing, loving GD, and kind of looking up to people like Colin and Etzer, or even just a bunch of people like that.
Yeah, I know for me originally, I when I started my channel, I wanted to be a Minecraft YouTuber because my biggest
Oh, I
idol,
made Minecraft channels too,
yeah,
yeah.
my biggest idol at the time, no doubt, was Dan TDM, and
Yeah, we love
that still is
NVIDIA.
there with my name. Like if you look at my name, some people are like, "Ooh, what does that mean?" And then I tell them, they're like, "Oh, you're a fan of Dan TDM, aren't you?" I'm like, "Yeah, I was."
I would watch DanTDM when I was in middle school. I would come home and I would go to my room and get chips and just watch DanTDM. I think people are just afraid to admit that they watched, like, child-friendly YouTubers when they were younger, and, like, chill. Everyone's done it.
Yeah, I remember
Like,
I freaking would make, because I took art all through middle school. I remember in like I constantly there was a bunch of times where we were given an art project and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna make this about Dan TDM. I wasn't afraid to show I was a fan of TDM. In fact, I remember one year I actually got a Dan TDM backpack.
nice.
Yeah.
That's
Um.
awesome.
So I guess that kind of leads into your GD animations because because I would see, from your wanting to make music videos and like, I could see how that would go into making GD animations because it's like a much easier way to do stuff like that. Um,
Sort of. I think what I love doing that is, I just like storytelling and
who
videos,
doesn't?
and yeah, I mean, it was kind of like you said, it was a good way to combine the 2 of them. Just, I think the TTS thing was definitely inspired by River Silver, even though unfortunately he despises me, but I think he
Ah,
despises everyone at this point.
yeah,
So, I was definitely inspired by him, to do that sort of thing, and then it kinda picked up to a point where it was sort of jokey, like the GD Easter thing, and it was just totally memeing. But at the same time, it was sort of a way for me to kind of get better at editing because I had never done anything like that. Like through YouTube was how I learned what keyframes were, how I kind of had to problem solve because at the beginning I made the animations with iMovie, which only lets you have one layer. So I basically would animate one character and then export it and then animate another and et cetera, et cetera. So it was kind of a hassle, but it kind of taught me a lot about editing. So over time, I kind of improved what I was doing with it until eventually I was just kind of like, I've kind of reached the limit of what you can do with Final Cut Pro or iMovie, and I should probably just focus on other things because the amount of time that I would spend putting into them was just not really worth what some people thought about it.
yeah. I will say, when you brought up River Silver, I remember he inspired me to make level reviews because I did a few of those, and initially I even planned on using the text to speech. In fact, in like I think the first episode on Nine Circles, I had like transitions to the different categories, which are essentially just the ones from the River Silver videos, and I used the exact same text to speech for those specific transitions. Kind of shame he, yeah,
Yeah.
we're not gonna get into that. That's not part of it. Um, this has been been curious about for a while. Is there a particular animation you think is your favorite?
I would say the Juniper and Foob series. It's not one, but it's if I had to pick one, it would be the finale of Juniper and Foob, simply because at that point I wasn't even really enjoying making them anymore. But I was just so dedicated, and it was just so nice. Like knowing that you're making something for other people kind of gives you a different like feeling. It was like I would see the excitement that people had to seeing it, and it's funny because I still am salty that YouTube kind of before premieres existed, I released Juniper and Foob 6 before premieres existed, and I basically premiered it. I went live on YouTube and then streamed the video. And so I'm still mad because they stole premieres from me. Obviously they didn't, but I don't care. I'm gonna be mad anyway because I'm allowed to.
Yeah.
So it was it was really special because the chat was all like super happy and excited, and they were like clapping, sending clap emojis or whatever at the very end. And it was just kind of like my final hurrah. Like I had a lot of I said I didn't have fun making it because it was just kind of tedious at times, but when I was kind of experimenting and doing newer things, like specifically the photo slideshow at the end during the credits, I had a lot of fun making. Um, it was kind of like just overall a lot of fun to put together, even though it was tedious at times, and I'm happy that I went through with it.
Yeah, I will say I understand what you mean because I know sometimes for me editing can get tedious, but it's like it's sort of one of those things where like it's the hardest part about editing is just getting into it. Once you start editing a
Mhm.
video, you just sort of get in the rhythm of it. You just start just going at it. And I know I did intend on making GD animations for a while. I just never fully got into it. And I think the main reason for that was mainly because I suck at backgrounds. I have never
Oh,
known
I
how to
do
make
too.
backgrounds.
Yeah, it's just impossible. I would just draw them on my phone.
Yeah, I could
And
tell.
then, like, as I got bigger, people kinda, like, demanded, higher quality, and I was just like, "Dude, I'm doing this off of my phone. I don't know what to tell you."
Personally,
Like,
I
I
actually
cannot.
liked. I personally liked the low quality backgrounds. I felt like that fit a lot well. That fit
It
really
kinda was
well
part
with
of the
the.
charm of it, you
Yeah,
know?
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know for me, I wanted to do something like that, but the problem for me is that I every time I draw a background, I'd be like, yeah, that doesn't look right. So I ended up
Yeah.
just giving up. And their part for me was just I suck at making stories. Like I made movies with my brother when I was younger, but like those are they were bad.
Yeah,
Either
youth movies.
they were either improv on the spot or they had like the stupidest plot ever. And so even later on, I tried to make them, and I would realize like this isn't very good. This is just stupid. So that's part of the reason why I never really
Yeah.
made those.
I wouldn't really say I'm great at stories either, which is why I only ended up making, one, like, series.
Yeah, Juniper and
I
Flea.
wrote GD Agency, like, that thing that I said was going to make and then I never did. I have a whole script for that. It's probably, like, 40 to 50 pages long, and that's exactly why I didn't make it, was because it was a 40 to 50 page long script and I was in high school. But it was, like, I would always try. I remember specifically sitting down for, like, hours at a time and, like, trying to think of a good idea for a series, like a 5 to 6 episode series that I could just make because so many people wanted it, and I just could never think of anything.
Yeah, that's the hardest part. Is just thinking of an idea. I feel like I
Yeah.
feel like that's the problem with a lot of things. The hardest part is getting started. Once you're started, it kind of becomes easier. Sometimes you'll hit road bumps, but nothing is harder than actually getting started and thinking of the first idea. Like recording a
Yeah.
video, you have to think of a video idea, and something goes to like a movie script or a series or a channel or whatever. It's always the first idea that is the hardest one.
Mhm.
Yeah. Um. How did your? Because I know you started growing around the time you started your channel, and you grew faster than a lot of people do. Um, how did that affect you in any way? And if it did, does it affect you differently now than it did then? If that makes any
I
sense.
think, like, it's just the amount of pressure that's put on someone who is big is not something that I was prepared for nor expected. So, especially in 2019, I would say I was really bad at responding to things that would happen publicly. I took everything to heart. I took things very personally when I didn't need to. And I obviously heavily regret the way that I responded to some people and the things that I've said. Nowadays, instead of, like, lashing out whenever I see something I don't like, I'll typically just internalize it, which obviously also isn't good, but it's better than, like, saying things that I regret or saying things that can get misinterpreted. So I think I feel like that happens to everyone, but I feel like I don't wanna say that it's different in any way from me because I feel like it's just something that happens, but no one really, like, is aware of it.
Yeah, I know. I was the same. I know I was the same way because whenever I remember, I would always like occasionally I would like look up my name on Twitter and see what people are saying about me because I don't know why. Because here's the thing: I hate seeing negative stuff about me. Like whenever I see
It's
something
just your
negative about like me
brain
or my
wants to
friends.
see the
Yeah,
positives, like, you're so desperate to see that someone is saying something positive about you that you go searching, and then, of course, there's always negative things, so
yeah.
that just brings the overall mood down. I totally get it because I'm the same way.
For me, also, it's because I don't know why, but even though I hate negative stuff, I still a part of me was like, all right, you have to see what they're saying because I'm a very
Exactly.
curious person, and so I hate just not really knowing things. So like whenever something happens,
I'm the
I
same
always
way.
have to ask to know what's going on, even if it's nothing that has to do with me. I'm like, okay, what's going on? I need to know. I'm curious. Which
Yeah, I don't like having the wool pulled over my eyes or anything.
yeah, um, this sort of ties into that one, that previous question, and it's um, has it how hard has it been to maintain your channel and keep your public image, decently high?
I mean, it's annoying because I feel like with the whole public image thing, I feel like people are trying to paint me as a horrible person when I really don't think I've done anything wrong. I mean, other than like small mistakes or just saying things the wrong way and them coming out incorrectly. I've always apologized for things that I think I've done wrong. But it's like it's just I feel like I'm often fighting battles that I don't even start, where people will spread information about me that just simply isn't true in order to make me look awful. And it's really exhausting when you just keep on defending yourself and you constantly see things that are putting you down. And eventually it kind of gets into your head and you're like, is this true? Like, have I really done something wrong? That's why when people are often like, just ignore the hate and stuff, you can try your hardest, but it still gets to you, like, inside.
Yeah, I know, definitely. Like, I know for a fact for me, it got really annoying because earlier this year, I had this, like, 2-month period where, like, I went through, like, 20 separate dramas, and it was so taxing, and it got to the point where even after everything was said and done, I was still dealing with, like, the self-doubt and the questions of, what if I am a bad person? Like that, those doubts still affect me to this day, and a lot of people don't understand that. Like drama and the like, it's just not worth it. Like it's not worth. Who cares if you get you know 5 minutes of clout? You're doing a lot of harm on everyone involved, including the person you're attacking unfairly because you're you're putting thoughts into their head. You're spreading false information. You're saying shit about them that doesn't need to be said, and so on. It's just not worth it. People don't really care though if they just want the clout, and it sucks.
Yeah, I feel like that's one of the bigger problems with the internet is how hard it is for some people, or I think just everyone. I don't think that some people, it's really hard to connect words on a screen to a real human being. And I try to remind myself about this all the time. Like every single person who I see on Twitter, who I see on Discord, who I see on any of these social medias,
It's a
they're
real
a real
person.
person with a real life. They have family, they have friends, they have a daily routine. They wake up in the morning, they brush their teeth, they eat their breakfast, or they don't, or they do, or whatever they do in their daily lives. They have a daily life, just like me, just like you, just like everyone. They have emotions and they see things, even if you don't want them to, and they feel those things. And it's really hard when you just see this person and you know this person through words or a profile photo or even a YouTube video or two. It's it's really hard just naturally to make that connection between, oh, this is an actual human being with an actual entire life like that they're living. And it makes it a lot like easier for people to throw hate at people or to say things to these people that they wouldn't say to their faces because you just forget that they're a real person.
Yeah, and I feel like ties in a lot to the fact that a lot of things people say on the internet tend to be really harsh. Like it's either like there's no like, oh, you see, it's very rare to see someone who's like, oh, you see, I don't really like them, but they're not really a bad person. I just personally don't really like their content. No, it's either, oh, you see, I'm a really big fan of them, or it's I absolutely hate this person. They suck. They should burn in hell and they should die. Like it's one or the other, and it sucks. Like people have emotions, people have feelings, and a lot of people just forget that on the internet. And I feel like that's the problem with the internet because if all these interactions happened in real life, like you're talking directly to the person, people wouldn't be that harsh because you're seeing the person, you're talking to them, you can physically like reach out and touch them if you wanted to. They're right there. You know they're a real person. Whereas on the internet, it's a lot harder to visually and physically you know get that, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah. Um so this is a question on it. I feel like a lot of these are just questions people would want to hear. Was there
That's fine.
anything what? Say again?
That's fine. I don't know what people want to know. I want to tell people what they want to know.
Yeah. Um was there anything that inspired you to make Juna plushes? And did anything happen or did anything cause you to create the second generation? Because that's something I'm curious about because I personally like the first generation and I never really knew why you went to a new creator and got a new design for it.
Yeah, so basically the first plushies, there were 350. Well, I'll divide them into three generations actually. There were 100 of the very first generation, 250 of the second generation, and then however many of this current one. The very first generation, I basically placed a bulk order from a company and they shipped 100 plushies to my house. And when they arrived, I discovered that they were not the quality that I expected them to be. So I had to manually glue some parts back on, like of
Ah,
certain plushies that were just broken. And I wouldn't have shipped them out if I didn't get as many orders as I did immediately. So I ended up having to, kind of patch them back together. They sold out within like 2 days and I sold them off, or I sent them off. Um, and then the second batch was 250. It was a higher quality, but after a while, I realized that I couldn't keep up with the demand because for every single order, I had to put a box together, tape the box, write the person's address out, put a little sticky note with the return address on it, write, put the stamp, package the plushie, put all the stuff in, box it up again so that it was fully like covered and ready to be shipped out, and then my mom would drive to the post office and drop them all off, and then we'd pay. And that might not sound like a lot, but when you're doing 350 individual boxes and 350 plushies, and I was in high school, it was way too much for me. So I realized that I needed to outsource all of that work to a different company, which is where Crowdmade comes in. And I talked to them about doing plushies, and they were very willing to do that. So the design is different because it's from a different manufacturer, but it's so much easier. Like, if I honestly think it's these plushies or nothing because I do not have the capacity to box as many of the orders as I seem to be getting right now, and drive to the post office and ship them out. So it's like I'm incredibly thankful to them for taking on like all that they do because there's so much that goes into fulfilling orders that just you wouldn't expect from, just kind of not knowing much about it.
yeah. I know this YouTuber I watch sometimes called the 8-bit guy. He talks a lot about like retro computers, and he made a couple games for those. And I know for him, he would do the same thing. He would have to individually package them all together, put the sticker on them with the address, return address, and ship them out himself. And I've always wondered how, because like when you first think about it, you're like, oh, that doesn't seem that bad. You just bang, done, yeah. But when you actually think about it, you're like, wait, that's a lot of
Yeah.
orders.
It would take me like 2 minutes per order, and considering there were 350 of them, that's like
Yeah,
700 minutes total, which I'm doing the math right now, is 11.7 hours of my life spent just boxing plushies, and that doesn't account for, driving to and from the post office.
yeah. And also, you'd also have to pay for the shipping, which
I
is
did have people pay for the shipping,
ah,
but it was, like, kind of gambly because I didn't know exactly how much they were gonna charge me at the actual post office, so I was just kinda hoping that it was accurate.
okay, yeah. I do remember I actually got the first generation. I got it during I think Christmas of 2020. And side story, I remember when I was playing Firewall. You might remember you raided me then. Right before you
Mhm.
raided me, I told the story of how I got my Juna plushie. And then and then like less than 5 minutes later, you raided me. So that was kind of funny.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Was not planned.
Yeah. That was not planned at all. It just worked. Um.
Yeah.
How was there anything that led to the keynotes getting formed?
Not really. I mean, I feel like people think that it's like this giant cult where we're all just like hyping each other up and we're just like, we are super big content creators. Yes, we have so many subscribers, but no, we're literally just friends. Like, the group formed mostly after GD Twitch kind of started reviving. Tech, me, Ao, and all kind of migrated over there. And I remember on one of my first Twitch streams, I ended up getting into a call with Tech and Nepesto, which at the time was like unheard of. Like these three people just would, I mean, obviously Tech and Nepesto would call, but I would never
Yeah.
be in a call with people like that. And over time, we kind of gradually started adding in some of our own friends. Like I would add people like Lake, Guitar kind of hopped in, Tech and Nepesto would add Golden and Gisbro, who eventually ended up leaving. Um, and it just kind of grew into a really, really solid friend group. And after like a month and a half of just having the group DM, I kinda had the idea, like, we're all content creators. Why don't we make just like a hub Discord server sort of for members of all these different communities, all of our communities to kind of interact so that maybe they can find new people and meet new people who enjoy content creators that they do. Because, it's not, I don't really like the idea that content creation is like a competition. I don't think that's the truth at all. I feel like it's a collaborative effort in order to make the best things that you can. I feel like a lot of people will get angry or whatever if, they go live at the same time as someone else or they upload a video that's too similar to someone else. But at the end of the day, like we're all just kind of working together in my mind to create the best stuff that we can and entertain as many people as
Yeah.
we can.
I
So
know.
I was kind of like, why don't we just make like a hub for people to find new people? And that just makes sense.
Yeah. I know some people view content creation as a competitive thing, mainly because of just the fact. I don't know why. It's hard to explain, but I guess it's just the whole idea of sub counts and people just innately being competitive. So,
Yeah, it's
like,
that view counts, sub counts. It's just the fact that you
yeah.
want to be better than everyone else.
Yeah. Although, when you think about it, it kind of gets competitive, although the way I view it, it's not every YouTuber against each other. It's the solo people versus the companies in my eyes, because
Yeah.
the companies have hundreds of thousands of people working for them. They could easily just put out videos whenever they want. I think you have people like me or you or Colin or Nepesto or whoever who are just making content by themselves. Sure, they'll have like maybe like a few editors working for them, but it's really just like a few people versus hundreds of people, and it's like, and also for us, we're just working to entertain people, and sometimes
Right.
some people are in it for the money, partially. That's something I side note. That's something I hate when people would say, "Oh, people only do it for the money." Like, I'm sure some people
It is a
do.
job. It's a
Yeah,
legitimate job. It's
exactly.
not one that I personally want to undertake, but some people do, and that's fine. It's their choice.
Yeah, it's like some people do it partially for the money. That doesn't mean they only do it because they're money hungry. They do it because, well, you see, it's something I like to do, and I could do it as my job. Why not do it? So it's partially for the money, partially because they enjoy it. There's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
And I hate it when people say, "Oh, he only does it because he's money hungry," because it's just not true most of the time.
Yeah. And
Um,
even if it is, like, people have their own reasons to do things, and it's not really anyone's business to question why. Like, obviously, if there was a really, really bad reason, like they were doing it in order to like do awful things, then you would kind of have to look into that and question it a little
yeah,
bit. But if someone's just like, "Hey, this is the easiest way for me to make money," like if them making YouTube content makes their viewers happy, then like what's the big deal? I mean, obviously, you want a content creator, a perfect content creator on paper would do what they love consistently and consistently push out perfect content and great videos and all of these things. But in the world we live in, that's just not possible because we're all human beings and we all have to, live. If no one makes, if a content creator spends all of their time making content consistently, making perfect content, they're just literally going to crash and burn because burnout is a thing that happens to everyone, even the best. It happens and it sucks and it's unreasonable to think that someone's going to be able to consistently have a passion for content creation. So I think at some point in every single YouTuber's adventure it turns into a money thing, but I and even if like it is a job for some people and that's great, but personally not for me. So, yeah.
yeah. That's the thing about burnout. I feel like a lot of people, they're told, "Oh yeah, burnout's a real thing," and they don't. A lot of people don't understand what burnout really is until they experience it for themselves. Like I know
Right.
personally, I knew what burnout was, and I kind of understood it, but I was like, that seems kind of weird. Like, why? If you really enjoy it, why would you get burnt out? And then I experienced it for myself, and I'm like, oh, I get it now.
Yeah.
Um, well, is there anything you'd say you're the most proud of? I'm not talking just videos, but I'm talking like stuff in general. Is there anything you've done in general that you're the most proud of?
I think, throughout, like, my journey on YouTube and stuff, I've become a lot stronger person because I've had to put up with so much, that I don't think I ever thought I would have been able to put up with in the past. I feel like as my channel has grown bigger, so have the amount of people and the types of people who are coming at me and attacking me, in multiple different ways, and I'm not gonna go into the details, obviously, because that's just a letdown. But it's like the fact that I'm able to push through that and I know how to help myself in times where I really don't feel like I should, in times where like I feel like the entire world's against me, I can kind of take a step back for a moment, calm down, call up some friends and go, like, play Minecraft or something, you know? It's a lot of personal growth has happened to me throughout YouTube and this entire journey, and I'm proud of myself for kinda sticking with it even though at times it seemed really hard.
Yeah, I know that's a problem a lot of people see because like people don't really see like some people go to a streamer or a YouTuber and they watch their videos, so they're thinking, oh, they look happy, they look excited, look happy to do this, and they don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Because I know a lot of people who, especially recently, mostly due to like what's going on in the world, of COVID and all of the people going crazy over like everything for some reason.
Everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a lot of people are going through a lot and like really down, and but a lot of people don't see that. A lot of people just see, oh, they're making content still. Oh, they look happy on stream. Oh, they're still interacting with people on Discord. They must be happy. When a lot of times that's not the case. Things are going on in the background. And they don't see that, and it's not really no one really, and that's fair. They don't really. A lot of people don't make that stuff public because why should they? A lot of time it's only
From my point of view as a content creator, I don't make what's going on in my personal life public unless it's absolutely necessary
yeah.
because I feel like I want to make other people happy. And if I'm sitting here complaining about my life, I'm not doing that. I'm just making people worried. And that is the last thing I want to do. I want my streams and my videos to be safe spaces. Hello, did my entire computer just turned off?
No, it didn't.
Okay, no, my monitors did. I was like, "What happened?" Anyway, I want my videos and my streams to be, safe spaces for people to kinda come in and just forget about whatever's happening in their lives if there is anything happening. And if I'm sitting there, like, sulking or whatever, then it's not going to be the space that I wanna create. So, if I am down, I just won't stream because I'm aware that it's just not going to end well. And I feel like a lot of content creators are like that as well. So just because someone seems happy on stream or whatever doesn't always mean that that's what's going on in their personal life or whatnot.
Yeah, I will know there are some people who, even if they're really down, they still feel obligated to stream or record because, yeah, my fans are there. They want to see content. They want to see me stream. So I'd feel bad if I didn't do it, even if I'm really down. I know that. I know I feel that way. There's been times where, like, I haven't streamed in a while and I'm feeling really down. Like, man, I feel bad for not streaming because I just feel bad because I know my fans want it. I know people want to see streams, and but we're not doing it because we're not feeling good. So I feel kind of obligated to do so. And it's
I felt
hard.
that
It's a
way
weird balancing
before.
act. You have
Yeah,
to.
I felt that way before, but I think it's really important to remember that you're never going to be able to do your best if something's bothering you. And I think like we've said about everyone on the internet being people, your audience are also real people and they will understand if you need to take some time to step back or like think about what's going on or just kind of get yourself back up to that fully functioning standard. I mean, I've definitely had times where I'll, like, tell subs or whatever that I can't stream for a few days because something's going on, and I expect for people to be, like, upset, but they're always just very supportive. Like, I don't think I've ever gone and said, "I won't be live for a few days," and had someone go, "Darn, I'm really mad at you for that, that sucks." It's always just like, "I hope things are going well." It's never a concern about the stream, it's just a concern about the person, so it's important to keep that in mind.
Yeah, that's the weird thing about the internet. You have people who hate people for doing like the smallest things. They're like, "Oh, you didn't upload yesterday when you upload daily? How dare you? You suck." And you have the other people who are like, "Oh, something's going on. That's why you didn't upload yesterday. Oh, I understand. Take as much time as you need off. We understand what you're going through." Like, you have the two separate groups of people, and it's really weird to see. It's yeah, the internet's complicated. It's
Yeah.
weird. Um, are there any? You already brought up how you regret how you interact, how you dealt with stuff in the past. Is there any videos you made that, looking back, you regret making?
I feel like everything kind of led me to where I am now. I try not to regret anything that I do because I feel like regrets. I mean, it's a like everything that I've made was a factor in where I am now, and I'm happy with where I am now. So I'm like at peace with whatever I've done in the past because I can't change it. I can't get rid of the things that I've done that I don't like. Um, and some of the things that I've done, like some videos that I've made when I kind of was a little bit like more immature and I wasn't really thinking before I acted, I would upload some videos about like personal things that I really didn't need to make public. And since then, I've obviously privated those and gotten rid of them because they're just, I don't want them on the internet. But I mean, other than that, I don't really think so. I think everything has just kind of helped me grow as a person and as an editor and whatnot.
Yeah, I can understand that. There are, I made a lot of those videos too back when I was younger. Younger, that's weird to say. Like I remember for some reason one time I got in like this really stupid quote unquote drama with me and one of my friends. You might know him. His name is Pig Pig Gamer. Um,
Hmm.
it was really stupid. I think it was like over being mod on his stream or something. I don't know why I was so mad about it. I genuinely don't know. And like, I remember I made a video about it for some reason. And looking back, all I think of is, Jesus Christ, why did I do that? That was so stupid. Because
Yeah,
it was
it
stupid. There's no
happens.
point for it. It's just mod on a YouTube stream. But a lot, pretty much everyone has those things. There's no such thing as the perfect person. Everyone's made at least one mistake.
Yeah.
It's just a part
I
of
need more
life.
than one.
Yeah. Um, this is we're getting into more of the in-depth questions I feel right now. How did it feel when you initially got mod, and how exactly do you feel about it now?
When I got mod, I was at a basketball game and I was peeing. So I still think that's really funny.
Nice.
And I was really surprised because I didn't think that I'd be picked because I had no creator points. I haven't really built anything in the editor. It's been demonstrated that I'm awful at creating. But I was confident in myself because I knew that I was capable of reviewing levels and I had played the game for so long that I understood what was and was not sender feature worthy. But the thing with mod is that even if you have all the confidence in yourself in the world, it doesn't matter because what is really important is whether the team has confidence in you to promote you. So I wasn't sure if other people had confidence in me, and I didn't think they did, but it turns out that I was wrong. And I'm still happy to be in the position because I mean, I'm sort of an interesting mod because unlike most people, I mean, I do level requests, but I do them on stream. That's the big difference is a lot of my level requests will just be like quick 10-second challenges or whatever, or layouts because I'm a streamer, people want me to play them and then give my feedback. But whenever I do get a send worthy level, I will obviously do that. And I do enjoy kind of talking with the mods in depth about specific things that are going on, specific levels that we're kind of debating whether or not should be featured, that sort of thing.
I will say you brought up how you didn't think you get mod because you don't have 8 career points. Like I feel like something that the G community doesn't fully understand. People don't fully understand what it means to become a mod. Like you don't have to be a creator as long as you understand, what the difference is between a level that deserves to be rated and a level that doesn't deserve to be rated. And as long as the other mods think you're, you know, in a that you would be good a
Capable.
mod, and as long as Rob Top knows you are, is like, yeah, they'd be a good mod, then you'll probably get mod. It doesn't matter if you don't have critter points or if you do, or if people think you suck as critter if you don't. It doesn't matter. All that matters is what the mods think and what Rob Top thinks and whether or not they think you're worthy.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people will get upset because they aren't being considered for mod or they don't think they're being considered for mod or, they haven't been promoted or anything, but I mean, it's kind of unfair for me to say because I am mod, but I would encourage people who are upset that they are mod to not worry about it as much and to kind of remember that it's not really in your control. And this is kind of something that I've had to get better at over the years is remember that whenever something's not in my control and I have no control over what happens, then I just shouldn't worry about it because if I worry about it, it's going to take up energy that I could be using doing other things that I actually do have control over. So obviously, I may not be licensed to say that because things worked out for me, but overall, just whenever something is out of your control, try your hardest not to focus on it and to focus on other things.
Yeah, I know for me personally, I used to be really fixated on becoming a mod. I was like, that's my end goal in GeometryX, to become a mod. And nowadays, I sort of just look at it, I'm like, well, I mean, it'd be cool, but not really necessary because
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people just see it as like a position of power, and you know how people are with power. People want power, so they see mod. They're like, an opportunity for power. I want it. So, it's kind of natural people to want it because people want power, and mod is power. Therefore, people want mod. It's just natural. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, okay, this one I feel like is actually I wrote this question like 2 days ago, but I realized that now it's genuinely so relevant because of some stuff that happened like today or last night. I forgot exactly when it happened, but um, a lot of people you brought up earlier, a lot of people tend to say you don't really deserve your following or say, and this is a big one. A lot of people say that you are only popular because you're a girl and not because you're
Yeah.
entertaining. Um, what exactly do you think of those comments, and how do you approach them? Especially, mainly the girl equal not cool thing, because I find that to be kind of weird. But I want to know what you think of it.
It's really annoying because I have no control over that. I can't control what I was born like, and there's other things that go into that I can't mention, but it's it's really tough when I put a lot of effort into what I do, regardless of whether people like it or not. I do put a lot of effort into it, and you know that because you
Hmm.
have edited videos.
Yeah.
And when I used to edit, I would put a lot of effort into my videos as well. And I don't edit as much anymore because I'm getting ready for college and I've had to deal with school and other scenarios that I can't really talk about. But it that doesn't mean that I don't care about what I do and that I put a lot of effort into, getting the merchandise set up, uploading the videos, making thumbnails, all that sorts of thing. And when all of that is thrown out in favor of something that I don't control, nor am I even really that happy about, it's upsetting because I don't want to be treated any differently than anybody else. But unfortunately, like I flipped a coin and it landed one way. And so pretty much all my effort kind of gets tossed aside sometimes by people like that. But whenever I see those sorts of comments, I just have to remind myself that nobody knows what I'm doing more than me. And I know that what I'm doing is much more than that. And I know all the effort I put in. I'm very familiar with it, obviously, because I'm the one putting in um I'm recording and all that sort of stuff. When I edited, I would edit for hours and hours on end
You're the one
and
streaming. You're the one. Yeah.
right. Obviously, you editors and stuff have made my life so much easier, and I'm so thankful for all of you. And I try to get that across. Hopefully I do a good job of that, but it's um it's very demoralizing, and typically whenever I see a comment like that, I'll need to step away from doing what I do for a while to kind of get myself back on track because of how much it upsets me.
Yeah, I can understand that. I'm very clearly not a girl. So I can't really say, oh yeah, I fully understand. I go through the same thing because I don't. My mom is a therapist though, and I know that she talks to a lot of people who go through stuff related to, oh, you're a girl, so that means you're this and that, and oh, you're autistic, that means you're stupid and stuff like that, which it's stupid because that's none of that is ever true.
And
Just
it never
having,
defines a person
yeah.
either. Like, a person isn't defined by stuff like that. They're defined by their personality and the way that they act and the things that they do and what they've done to change the world, make it a better place. And when people kind of chalk your entire identity up to something that you can't control, it sucks.
Yeah, and that's part of the reason why I hate it when people call each other like, "Oh, you're the person who stole this level," or "Oh, you're the speedrun man," or "Oh, it's the girl." Like, it's just like that's
There's so
not
much
who
more
they
to
are.
people than that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's not who they are. Like, Nepesta isn't the speedrun man. He is Nepesta.
He's
You aren't the
Nepesta.
girl. You're Juniper, and that goes for a lot of other people. People just like to view people by specific things, either because, oh, you see, they're from that funny thing, or because, oh, there's a big trait about them. That's their entire personality now, which isn't true, but can't really change people think about
Yeah.
that. Um, what would you say? Like, has there ever been a point in time where you've thought about quitting YouTube, like just
Oh, yeah.
stopping?
All the time.
Really?
Like, yeah.
Is there a particular reason why, or is it multiple things?
I think it's multiple things. It's kind of number one, it's a lot of pressure, and people don't really understand how much pressure it is to have to put content out. And I'm a perfectionist, so thankfully over time I've kind of gotten a little bit less perfectionistic about what is up on my channel. But I used to be really strict, and I would always kind of beat myself up if something went wrong. Um, but it's also just obviously the hate. People kind of underestimate how much hate messages can do to a person, especially when you're kind of bombarded by them.
Yeah,
Um,
I remember earlier this
and
year.
yeah.
I remember earlier this year, people started sh- saying really mean stuff about my content, which at the time didn't make sense to me because all the dramas, like I brought up earlier, they weren't about my content. It was just people saying I was a bad person, which I didn't understand because my content isn't based on whether I'm a bad person. My content is just my content. And so, and even then, even though I knew it didn't make sense why they were saying it, it still hurt because I'm like, wait, is my content bad? Like, it's like, no matter how much people say, oh, just ignore it, or oh, they're wrong, you still have that voice in your head saying, but what if they are right? What if they're
Yeah.
telling the truth? And you can't just tell that voice to shut up. That's not how it works. It's always going to be there. And it's just hard to ignore because it's always there. You can never get it to go away. It's just
Right.
how you handle it. And it's hard to get a grasp on it a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Um, are you planning on continuing to make YouTube content, or are you gonna transition into other career fields like you brought up earlier? Like, are you planning on eventually fizzling out YouTube, or are you planning on continuing it as long as you can?
I have no real idea what the future holds because, I mean, I don't know what college is gonna be like. I don't know how the workload is going to be like. I don't know if the things that I see online about me are going to continue. Um, I don't know if the things that I'm dealing with personally are going to continue or not. There's a lot that goes into stuff like that, especially such a big decision like that. Um, so I don't really know yet.
I will say personally, um, I try to not let comments like that affect whether or not I make content because the way I see it is you're not making your content for those people. You're making your content either because you personally want to or because you want to entertain your fans and the people who like your content. You're not making it for people who hate you. You're making it for the people who, like your content and want to see it. So, who cares what those haters are saying because they're not the ones you're making the content for. You're making your content for the people who like your content. So, who
No,
cares what they
I
say?
understand and I agree, but over time,
It gets hard. Yeah.
comments about content can kind of turn into personal attacks, and other things happen behind the scenes that
Yeah.
I'm literally unable to talk about as much as I want to.
Yeah,
Um,
which makes sense. There's certain
yeah,
you just can't bring up
there's
certain
so
things on
much
YouTube.
I can't, absolutely not. And it's tough because there's so much that I want to say, but I'm just not able to. And all of that and the personal attacks and stuff, they really do destroy a person's mental health. And I need to focus on myself because I feel like for a long time I've only focused on making the best content I can at the expense of my own mental health. But now I need to realize, and especially with college coming up, that I need to focus on me a little bit more because I haven't been doing that, and it's been really detrimental to me.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people fall into that trap where they get focused on doing one specific thing and just forget to take care of themselves. Like I know I'm still kind of doing that and it's hard to break out of because you're in that mental mindset of, oh, you see, I don't have time to, let's say, like, oh, I don't have time to like brush my teeth or take a shower. I have to do this thing, which isn't true. You should make time. You should always make time to brush your teeth or eat or sleep or whatever because you need to take care of yourself. You need to make time to make sure you're doing okay. It's
Right.
that's the most important thing, that you're doing okay, not whether or not you're making content or whether or not you're there to play that one game with your friends. The most important part is making sure you take care of yourself, making sure you're in the best mindset.
I think another thing is that I feel like my friendships are so publicized that it sucks. Like, I've
Ah,
seen
yeah.
people repeatedly, especially recently, saying that the way that I talk to my friends and on stream and stuff feels forced, and it's just how we talk. Like, I don't maybe our friendships are bad, I don't know, but I love my friends deeply, and I care for them very much, and to my knowledge, they care for me very much, and kind of having a bunch of random people pick at the way that we spend our time together is just really annoying, and I kind of feel like I'm not allowed to have normal friends because of that, so that's another reason that it's something, it just gets really exhausting. I would
Yeah.
like to have normal friends, it'd be great.
I feel another problem with having your friendships so public is just something that kind of ties into you being a girl, which is whole, oh, shipping,
Yeah,
lol, let's ship her
we're
with someone.
dating.
Which,
Yeah, I'm
I don't
used to
know.
that at that point.
It's just, I think it's just because this community, not only is it being full of, you know, children, it's also full of, horny people. So they always want
Yeah.
someone to fantasize over. And that's just, unfortunately, again, you lost a coin flip, or won it, depending on how you want to look at it. And then people are like, oh, a girl, And then their horny minds start
Yeah,
racing.
that's something that makes me very uncomfortable, but I've just kind of had to get used to it.
Yeah, it's something you can't change, sadly, and it just sucks. Um,
I can't
it's
go
just,
into detail about how bad it gets because of TOS,
yeah,
but
I
it gets
figure.
really bad.
Yeah, I would think so. Like, I don't know, like you're saying, I've never experienced it, but like I have a general idea as to how bad it probably gets because it's just something like I know people and I know how this community is, so I can kind of guess at certain stuff like that and be like, yeah, that's probably how it is, and I'm usually correct. It's just there's certain patterns that you kind of see in this community once you've been in it long enough, so you
Mhm.
kind of get certain stuff like that. Um, are there any like stories that you remember, like anything that's happened during your time on the internet that you think are funny or interesting or something? Because
I mean, I try and share most of the stories in my videos and stuff, so I
um,
can't really think of anything off the top of my head that I haven't already mentioned.
all right, I'm kind of the same way, and I'm sure a lot of people are, because it's like stories I feel are one of the most interesting things to listen to because it's just fun listening to someone talk about something that's happened to them. It's because you went think, oh, that's interesting, because guess what? I don't know them personally. I don't, I'm not friends with them, so why should I care? But then realize you listen to it and you're like, oh yeah, this is interesting. I like hearing about stuff like this because it's just fun. There's no real reason for it. It just is.
Mhm.
Yeah. Um, you kind of brought this up, but is there anything you have planned for the future? Not just, I'm not talking just your online life, but like in general, like any plans for what you want to do in college or anything past college or something like that.
I'm really just gonna go with the flow. I mean, that's a cringe thing to say, but I'm just gonna do whatever happens because I have no idea what's gonna happen, and I'm gonna kinda get out there and just do my best, see what happens, and just go with it.
Yeah, that's fair. Especially going to something like college, which college, I know, like I've never been to college, obviously. I'm not, I'm still in high school, but college is one of the things where, like, you can just tell it's like school, but it's not the same as high school or middle school. It's college. You have dorms. You can live at the college if you want to. You spend pretty much your entire time at the campus. And, I've heard there's like Starbucks at camps, not camps,
Yeah.
colleges, and there's stuff like that. And it's just like a completely different environment. Um, so it's really weird to get used to. I'm willing to bet because it's just a different environment than just going to
Yeah.
school at 6 in the morning every day, and then going home at 3. It's, oh, you're always at school technically.
Yeah, that's the reason that I kind of am just I'm just gonna do whatever happens because, I mean, it's gonna be in a completely different environment. Every single aspect of my life is going to change, and, I mean, I can't really do anything about that except for just do the best I can with what I'm given.
Yeah, exactly. Um, so this is the last question. Is there anything you'd like to bring up or clear up concerning what people think about you, or just things you want people to know?
I'm not evil.
Well, I
I'm
would
not,
hope
like
not.
yeah, I don't, I don't understand why people think I'm, like, a bad person. but I don't think I'm a bad person.
Um,
Um, my friendships are real, and yeah, I don't know.
I feel like a lot of people. It's because I know people on the internet are very weird in terms of jokes. I'm not even just talking jokes at someone's expense, but dark humor exists, and never have understood why people think that stuff is funny. Because it's just people go too far. I'm not gonna go into it because I don't want to risk like this video like getting demonetized somehow, even though I'm not
Yeah.
monetized currently or anything like that. But people go bad, and even if stuff at people's expense, like people go a bit far. And the thing I understand is like people are okay with like really really bad jokes and like, oh yeah, you see, the girl is having sex, lol, that's funny. And then the girl brings up like, oh, can you not say that? And then people are like, oh, we're just having fun. Why are you ruining our fun? It's like, well, you, you're you're making a joke at her expense. She has all the right to say that. Why?
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't
Stuff
make
like that
sense.
bothers me a lot, but I think I've kind of come to the conclusion that I'm not going to be able to do anything about it because I've spoken about it multiple times and no one seems to care. I wouldn't say no one seems to care, but the people that I want to care don't care. So it's like, it's just a losing battle. And I'm just kind of like, obviously, I really don't like it when people say things like that about me because it makes me very uncomfortable. Um, but I mean, it is what it is, you
You
know?
can't control what people do. So there's like,
No.
it's just the fact of life. You can't change how they view you and what they do concerning your name or who you are. So you just it's just like
Just have
as
to look
sad as
the
it
other
is. There's just
way.
no point really trying because no matter what you do, people aren't gonna change, and
Yeah.
that's just how community is. I know personally, I made a mistake back like summer last year where, because back then I would like remake levels I liked. Like I would like take the deco from those levels but like apply it to new gameplay, and like I did it for fun because I enjoyed doing it. And no one really had a problem with it. And like I just enjoyed doing it. It was fun. And then I did it for Glide by Cron44, and
Mhm.
he brought it up on Twitter, and it became a big thing. And in the end, we did sort things out, and we do talk every once in a while. And for the record, I will say for everyone who's like, "Oh, Cron44 sucks. He hates you." Now he has admitted to me many times that he realizes he probably should have tried to sell things privately first and not make it public so soon. But too late to change that. Some people still view me as the guy who stole Glide, and like as much as I want them to stop, because that's not who I am, people aren't gonna stop saying that. Like the problem is just when you bring it up, people are just gonna say it more because lol, it got to them. That's funny, which doesn't make sense, but that's just how people are. They view stuff like that funny, which is probably the reason
Yeah.
why I feel like people do stuff like make fan fictions about people. Not just you, but I know other people like I've seen people ship freaking Nepesta and Technical for whatever reason. It's stupid. But I feel like that's probably the reason why people do stuff like that. It's just meant to get a reaction because people find that stuff funny. They don't find the act of making the fan fiction funny. They find the reaction of the people in the fan fiction reacting to the fan fiction funny, which
Right.
I kind of get, but like I would never go that far because you're still that's still a person you're doing that to. Like, fictional characters, sure, like Clubbette, no, make story about Clubbette all you want or whatever, but these are real people. They're not, fictional characters, they're real people. So why are you it's essentially playing with people's emotions. I've never understood why people do that. It
Yeah.
just seems wrong. Um is there anything else you want to bring up or anything you feel like you want to talk about that I didn't bring up?
I don't know. I think
Um
your questions are very good.
Thanks. Well, yeah, I think that's about it for the podcast. Thank you for joining in. I really appreciate it.
Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. But yeah, if I guess thank you all for joining in. If there's anyone you want to see in the podcast next, just tell me in the comments, and I'll try and get in contact with them. I can't promise I'll be able to get in contact with them because we know some people are hard to get in contact with. Like,
This is true.
yeah, it's can be
Even I
hard.
cannot get in contact with people sometimes.
Yeah, it's just how people are, and I understand that. it's just because privacy and people just want to be with themselves. But yeah, thank you all for watching.
Bye.
Boy.